feel your max with Brooks Running and the all-new Ghost Max 2. They're the shoes you deserve, designed to streamline your stride and help protect your body. Treat yourself to feel-good landings on an ultra-high stack of super comfy nitrogen-infused cushion that takes the edge off every step, every day. The Brooks Ghost Max 2. You know, technically, they're a form of self-care. Brooks, let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Atheists, agnostics, long-haired weirdos, short-haired weirdos, vandals, hooligans.
The government, hug the government, love the government, hug the government, love the government, hug the government.
Welcome to The Politics Guys, a place for bipartisan, rational, and civil debate on American politics and policy. I'm Northern Kentucky University political scientist Michael Baranowski. I'm joined today by my conservative counterpart, Cleveland area attorney and defender of freedom, Jay Carson.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jay. So, as usual, there were a bunch of things that we didn't get to on our regular weekend show. One of the big ones being the Google antitrust rulings over last week. Was it U.S. District Court Judge Amit Mehta, I'll get that right, issued a 200... Mehta, thank you. Issued a... This is what happens when you get all of your news from print sources, right? I should have checked the pronunciation. I appreciate the correction. Judge Mehta issued a 277-page ruling in which he found that, in his words, Google is a monopolist and has acted as one to maintain its monopoly. And he cited Google's 89.2% share of the market for general search services, which is even higher, 94.9% on mobile devices. Now, this is the first ruling in a lawsuit that was filed by the Justice Department under Trump Attorney General Bill Barr nearly 4 years ago. And from the beginning, the Department of Justice has argued that Google, which generated around $240 billion in search revenue last year, that they've used their market dominance to charge advertisers artificially high prices, and that its chokehold on search has meant that end users have been denied the benefits of higher search quality that would have likely resulted from a actual competitive market. Now, Attorney General Garland called the ruling a historic win for the American people, and that it demonstrated that no company, no matter how large or influential, is above the law. Now, Google, unsurprisingly, does not see things that way. Kent Walker, Google's president of Global Affairs, pointed out that even Judge Mehta said that Google offers the best search engine and that the company is offering search products that benefit and don't harm consumers. Now, there hasn't been a ruling yet on remedies. That's going to be the next stage of the process, which is scheduled for early September to start. And Google, of course, is going to appeal no matter what happens. And it seems like the process will almost certainly take years to reach a final resolution. There's some talk it could stretch into even like as late as 2029. There's not just this, of course. Google's also facing an additional antitrust lawsuit. This one's focused on its alleged illegal monopoly in digital advertising, and that's set to go to trial in September. So, Jay, what do you think about this decision? And also, what are your thoughts about how this might play out?
All right. So I will preface this by saying antitrust is incredibly complicated field of law and is sort of a really specialized branch in that, you do have to have sort of a grasp of not only the law, but of the economics. It's important, whether you establish market power, and then if you are abusing that market power or using that market power. And then the other factor is, are consumers being harmed by that? The idea of antitrust law being primarily protecting consumers. And I think that's where the opinion gets into a little fuzzy water, is that the consumer injury to some extent is kind of intangible, right? It's sort of like, well, maybe we could have better searches if there were more competition. But at the same time, Google seems to do, the search quality is great. Now, I would argue about search quality. That's a whole other thing. But the actual harm to consumers is sort of tough to nail down in this kind of case, right? The typical harm to consumers is, well, higher prices. You have a monopolist who controls the market, so therefore they can essentially raise prices. But when you have a service that is essentially free, well, that just doesn't figure in there. So you're looking at, kind of opportunity costs of, well, if there had been other players or more significant players, because it's not like there aren't other players, could you get something better or better searches? And well, again, that's maybe a little subjective, right? Of what's a good search, what's not a good search. I suppose it depends on what you're looking for and what comes up. So I think what I'm saying is there are a bunch of sort of inherent problems, right? Of taking antitrust law, which was a tool created in 1912 to apply to, oil monopolies and that sort of thing, to the digital world. And so I think there's a lot to do. And that sounds like sort of answer that doesn't really answer your question. And maybe that's it, because I think maybe I haven't made up my mind exactly yet about where this is or where it's going. But
I agree in some.
Those to me seem to be the issues that I see.
Yeah, I agree in some respect, and I think you're absolutely right in trying to. It's difficult to specify the harm to consumers as defined by users of Google's search products, because given that,
again, the advertisers, that's a different case, that's a different suit. Yeah.
And that's my point, is that if you say, well, who are the consumers? Well, there are the consumers of Google search product, and then there are the advertisers who are also, those are actually the consumers of Google's product, right? The paid consumers, if you will. They're just a different class of consumers. And that maybe is a stronger case to make. I think you'd agree.
Yeah, I think those guys are getting ripped off.
Yeah. Okay, so
I know what they're paying. I'm just
yeah. And then you look at the fact that Google has spent just tens of billions of dollars in locking in these deals with various companies to make Google the default search engine. They paid Apple $20 billion in 2022 alone, and there have been a number of reports that Apple considered doing its own search product, but decided, well, we're making billions of dollars just doing nothing from Google, so why should we threaten our revenue stream to do that? And so I think...
and there's also then the Trump, if you look back at, if you remember the Microsoft antitrust suit.
Back in the day.
About including Netscape as automatic in the browser. The idea there was, and it struck me as crazy then and it does now, is that, listen, you have a company that's sort of saying, hey, we're going to include this additional product at no charge because we think it will improve the product experience. And then they're getting the Department of Justice after them for it. So, I mean, something that is really in many senses, a pure consumer benefit. You're getting the man coming after you for it. So it's that case, I think, was a little more egregious than what this is, but
it's challenging because on one hand, and I feel some of the same uncertainty that you do, because on one hand, I agree with Judge Mehta saying that, that he wrote, they haven't achieved market dominance by happenstance. They've hired thousands of highly skilled engineers. They've innovated consistently, and they have the highest quality search engine. And
right.
I think,
but there's nothing wrong with that. That's all right. What you hope for, right?
And the tricky thing with tech is that you have these network effects. And so, yes, the more data they gather from us through their algorithms, the more they can make the search more targeted toward us. And those are valuable things. And you get those things through size. But yet there are those agreements they enter into. And I guess to me, where I'm leaning right now is I wouldn't necessarily be unhappy with a remedy that said that I'm not going to break up Google or, anything like that, but just say that, well, maybe they can't enter into these exclusive default search engine deals. And honestly, I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot because these other companies are probably going to stick with Google. And if the other search is inferior, well, people are going to stick with Google in any case. And so I think to me, that's maybe a reasonable remedy that deals with the kind of antitrust-ish sort of part and doesn't really affect the fact that, well, Google is doing some things that make them a better search alternative than, say, Bing or DuckDuckGo or something like that.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Yeah. So my thinking on this is along the lines of, and I feel in sort of my small R Republican soul, right, that there's this distrust of like, look, it's this massive corporation that is controlling all, our information. And that strikes me as that's a big problem. But then I look at, is the remedy to be found in antitrust law? And I'm not sure that it is, right? I guess that's where it's because I think where you're coming from too is you have a certain dis-ease with Google having this much of a stranglehold on the market. Well, and there's this sense of, well, it just doesn't seem good to have someone be that powerful. Or one company be that powerful, even if you can't trace what the exact harm to consumers is.
Well, yes and no.
But that said, I'm saying I think there's an issue there. I don't know that our antitrust laws, as they are written, are address that concern.
Yeah, I think I don't have as nearly the problem with the kind of bigness thing that you were talking about in and of itself, because if they got to that point because they offer a better product, well, then, consumers should be they shouldn't be punished for offering a superior product. I think that feels to me fundamentally wrong. But on the other hand, if they are engaging in activity that makes it more difficult for competitors to bring their competing product.
Right. No, that's something different altogether. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's why I think a reasonable remedy might be saying, Google can't enter into these defaults. Because, I understand the argument saying that, well, people can always change their default search engine, but good luck with that. I mean, inertia kind of makes that impossible.
And most people may well just go load on the Google app anyway, or go to Google search anyway.
Exactly. They're that much better. So yeah. But I think you'd agree with me that this is not something that's going to be decided in the next even year or two.
Right. No, it's going to take a while. My other point is that this is something that is a little different just in terms of quantity or quality than any other product, than your like difference in kind of any other product. It's not of like, look, Coke makes the best soft drink ever, so we're going to drink a lot of Coke. This has to do with access to information. And I think that means something different. And again, when these laws were drafted, it was about things like, well, the price of oil, right? Are people paying more because somebody controls the market? And that's what this is a little different, because I think there is a harm there, but it's a harm that's very difficult to quantify.
And I would say if it's another problem is that if people through agreeing to those user agreements are giving their permission to have their
being forced to give up their data. Yeah.
Well, not being forced, but freely agreeing to do that. Now you can make an argument that who reads these user agreements and that's sort of thing.
I mean, you could say, listen, to some extent, if someone controls 94% of the market and you want to have access to the market, and your only way to do that is to sign the agreement and give up your data, then you are being forced. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, as a user, I guess you can say, well, what are my options? I can use an inferior search product and not give up my data. Or if I'm a technically sophisticated user, I can find ways to make sure that Google doesn't track me, but then my search results might not be as personalized and as good.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
Yeah, there are a lot of trade-offs there. So, all right. We hope you enjoyed this preview of our supporters exclusive midweek show. If you'd like to hear the rest of the episode, we hope you'll consider becoming a supporter. Supporters get ad-free access to all of our shows, membership in our Politics Guys Discord group where you can join in on the conversation, and other benefits at different levels of support. To become a supporter, go to patreon.com/politicsguys. You can also support us through Venmo or @politicsguys or through PayPal. You'll find all of our support links in the show notes as well as at politicsguys.com/support. And if you'd like to get the midweek show, but you're not in a position to become a financial supporter, that's not a problem. Just send me an email at mike@politicsguys.com, and I'll be happy to get that set up for you.
This podcast is part of the Democracy Group,